We'll call the council meeting to order at 6 p.m. First up, I need a motion for adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on Monday, September 10th, 2018 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have no delegations this evening. Before we move into our hearings, I just want to mention that we had advertised there was a Board of Revision set for 7 p.m. this evening. The last appellant has settled their issues with the branch of assessment for the province, so there will be no Board of Revision at 7 p.m. tonight. We'll open the public hearing for variation PC 66-18. This is for Proctor. And is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to the application?
So I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay. And your name for the record, ma'am?
Valerie Proctor.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from council? Need a motion to close the hearing?
Resolved that the public hearing for variation PC 66-18 Valerie Proctor, 39 5th Street Southwest now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Valerie Proctor has applied for a front and north side yard requirement to be reduced as she wishes to construct a front covered veranda and a rear addition to the house. And this application has been circulated to various city departments with concerns expressed from the planning district in regard to Manitoba Building Code criteria. The owner has been made aware of these concerns at the time of application and has agreed to abide by any Manitoba Building Code requirements. Public notices were also sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. It is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Valerie Proctor to vary the following: front yard requirement of 7.5 meters to be reduced to 1.8 meters, and north side yard requirement of 1.5 meters to be reduced to 0.3 meters at the property known as 39 5th Street Southwest, which is legally described as Lot 170, Plan 15, Parish of Portage la Prairie, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We'll open the public hearing for variation PC 67-18. This is for Tyler Bruno. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to the application?
I'm here for.
And your name for the record, ma'am?
Ashley Bruno.
Did council have any questions? Need a motion to close the hearing?
Resolved that the public hearing for variation PC 67-18 Tyler Bruno, 841 8th Street Northwest now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Tyler Bruno is applying for a variation order for his side yard requirement to be reduced, as he wishes to construct a 4.87 meter wide attached garage on the north side of the dwelling. Similar variations have been approved by council in the past, and they are listed there. The proposed street to the north is undeveloped at this time, and the building is in an R1 residential single-family zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments with no concerns, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. It is the recommendation of this committee that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Tyler Bruno to vary the side yard requirement when on a corner lot of 3.6 meters to be reduced to 1.5 meters at the property known as 841 8th Street Northwest, which is legally described as lots 41, 42, Block 15, Plan 100, Parish of Portage la Prairie, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We'll open the public hearing to conditional use PC 68-18. This is for Rona Portage, 61345 Manitoba Limited, and this is at 2450 Saskatchewan Avenue West. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to the application? Need a motion to close the hearing?
Resolved that the public hearing for conditional use PC 68-18 Rona Portage, 2450 Saskatchewan Avenue West, now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Rona Portage is applying for variation order to vary the rear yard requirement from a municipal road allowance to be reduced, and the applicant would like to add a second accessory building. They have a similar cold storage building that was constructed in 2007 that has the same setbacks. The building is in a C4 planned regional shopping zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments with no concerns, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. It is a recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Rona Portage to vary the rear yard requirement of 4.6 meters from a municipal road allowance to be reduced to 1.5 meters at the property known as 2450 Saskatchewan Avenue West, which is legally described as Lot 1, Block 3, Plan 1810, Parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? That's carried. We'll open the public hearing for variation PC 71-18. This is for Ken and Nancy Brooks at 87 Meehan Avenue. And is there anyone here to speak in favor of or oppose to the application?
I think we might have skipped over the second one.
Yeah, we'll go back. Need a motion to close the hearing, please?
Resolved that the public hearing for variation PC 71-18 Brooks, 87 Meehan Avenue, now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? That's carried.
Ken and Nancy Brooks are applying for variation order to vary the east side yard requirement when the accessory building is not 1.8 meters from the principal building. The building is in an R1 residential single-family zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments with no concerns, and public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius. It is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Ken and Nancy Brooks to vary the east side yard requirement of 1.5 meters to be reduced to 0.6 meters when the accessory building is not 1.8 meters from the principal building at the property known as 87 Meehan Avenue, which is legally described as Lot 27, Block 6, Plan 1721, Parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We'll open the public hearing for variation PC 69-18. This is for Rona Portage, 61345 Manitoba Limited at 2450 Saskatchewan Avenue. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of or opposed to this application? Need a motion to close the hearing?
Resolved that the public hearing for variation PC 69-18 Rona Portage, 61345 Manitoba Limited at 2450 Saskatchewan Avenue West now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Just making sure I have the right one here. Is it to vary the rear yard requirement?
69-18.
Is that correct? Okay. Rona Portage is applying for a variation order to vary the rear yard requirement of 4.6 meters from a municipal road allowance to be reduced to 1.5 meters. Applicants would like to add a second-story accessory building. And similar cold storage building was constructed in 2007 that has the same setbacks. It is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Rona Portage to vary the rear yard requirement of 4.6 meters from a municipal road allowance to be reduced to 1.5 meters at the property known as 2450 Saskatchewan Avenue West, which is legally described as Lot 1, Block 3, Plan 1810, Parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's carried. That's it for hearings, so we're going to move right into committees. First up is Finance, Legislative and Property Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you. A few things on this committee's agenda here this evening. First off being the July 2018 financial statements. I did report to Council that there'll be a more robust quarterly financial report to be received at quarter's end, and this is the information that we'll get on a monthly basis. You can see what a statement of financial position, as I alluded to, is commonly known as a balance sheet, but we call it and will call it a statement of financial position, is in a positive position for the year, followed by the statement of operations, which if you look at the surplus that is currently underway versus what was budgeted for the year, we are sitting in a good position at this point in time, as well as the same story could be said on the utility side. So all in all, we are in good shape through 7 months here at the city. Those are for your information. The first other item that we'll talk about, and I should say first, is the first item that we discussed in committee, which was the establishment of Utility Infrastructure Reserve. So I did talk about the proactive nature of the city in making sure that we're setting up reserves, and we did one in an infrastructure general reserve, and this one's more specifically to the utility. And so we will be working towards putting aside funds on an annual basis for specific purposes related to the utility and more defined in nature. So it is a recommendation of the committee, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the Utility Infrastructure Reserve Fund by giving bylaw number 18-8678 first reading.
Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Wall. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
The second item, again, discussed in committee, was the establishment of a new reserve for the Portage Regional Library Building Reserve. So in 2018, the city amended its community grant funding to the Portage Library to increase its annual rent. In that transition to this rate, a 5-year phase-in has been established commencing this September. The city, though, has committed to contributing the difference between the outstanding amount and that phased-in approach into a reserve to assist with its future building maintenance. And so upon full transition, $10,416 will be contributed to this reserve on an annual basis. So it is a recommendation of the committee, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the Portage Regional Library Building Reserve Fund by giving bylaw 18-8679 first reading.
Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Wall. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
The next item is a land sale. And so we have some options here, obviously, to accept the offer to purchase, counter offer, or deny the offer to purchase. So Penner Waste has expressed interest in intent to purchase 4 parcels in the McMillan Industrial Park, amounting to a total of 13.19 acres. And they plan on establishing an organic compost facility and have submitted an offer for just over $48,000. The developer sees the potential in Portage la Prairie to develop a site similar to their current operation located in the RM Stanley, just outside of Winkler, and they are asking that council grant them also the first right of refusal on a little bit larger piece as they grow their business. The land is currently zoned for the proposed activity and is situated adjacent to agri-food industries, which will have a mutually beneficial relationship when developed. So it is a recommendation of the committee, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie accept the offer for the sale of city-owned property legally described as lots 10, 11, 12, and 13, Block 2, Plan 53583 to Penner Waste for the purchase price of $48,301.78, and all costs associated with the land sale, and delegate authority to the city manager to negotiate and execute a development agreement, and that council accept the first right of refusal to Penner Waste on the sale of adjacent lots identified as lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, Block 1, Plan 53583.
Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Wall. Any comments or questions on the motion? Councillor Dreger.
Well, for my chair, I see this as very good news. When I came on council in 2010, that's 8 years ago now, this land there was much talk about this land, but the area had seen very little action, and it's just really good to see that there is some interest in that area of the city.
Any other comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Another good news story on my final report is the sale of another piece of land, and that's for Bakari Development Incorporated, and they're looking to purchase Lot 1 and 2, Block 1, Plan 1810, and so there is a highlighted map there. It is obviously, again, our option to accept that offer, counter it, or deny it, and so it is a total of 5.02 acres for a total purchase price of $259,700. It is currently zone C3 and requires a conditional use in order to proceed with his project, which would be a multifamily rental housing is the proposed project. So again, we would see a rezoning coming here. But in the interim, though, it is a recommendation of the committee, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie accept the offer for the sale of city-owned property, legally described as Lot 1 and 2, Block 1, Plan 1810, to Bakari Development for the purchase price of $259,700 and all costs associated with the land sale, and delegate the authority to the city manager to negotiate and execute a development agreement.
Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Dreger. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
And that does conclude my report.
Thank you, Councillor Buds. City Planning and Act Development Committee. Councillor Dreger, please.
For information only, as these reports were discussed in committee at our last council meeting, the July reports from the planning district are there, and we will be reviewing the August reports in committee this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Dreger. Community Service Committee. Councillor Fraze, please.
Thank you, Worship. Community Service Committee has nothing on the agenda tonight.
Waterworks Committee. Councillor Wall, please.
The Waterworks Committee has no report this evening, Your Worship.
Thank you. Transportation Committee. Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing for transportation this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Espy, Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Safety Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. We have no deferred business this evening. However, we do have some new business. First item is the rezoning application for PC 70-18. This is for McCabe at 102 First Street Southwest. And this is City Planning and Act Development Committee.
Excuse me, Your Worship, I'll just leave the room for this.
Okay. You, Councillor Wall.
Okay, the issue here is to commence the zoning amendment process by rezoning the above listed property from R1 residential single family to R2 residential two family to the City of Portage la Prairie zoning bylaw number 10-8492 by giving bylaw number 18-8680 first reading. And the property in question is Lot 3, Block 1, Plan 1998, Parish of Portage la Prairie, and the applicants are Justin and Andrea McCabe. There's guidelines there from the Portage la Prairie Development Plan that must be adhered to proceed. The application will be circulated to the province for review and comments after first reading. And as per Section 74 of the Planning Act, Council shall indicate its intention to enact a zoning bylaw amendment by giving first reading and proceed with public notice as set out in Section 168. First reading of bylaw number 18-8680 will commence the process as defined in the Planning Act in considering this application. It is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie give bylaw number 18-8680 first reading and provide public notices as defined in Section 168 of the Planning Act.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Is the motion to put forward the rezoning of this property? Is that
Yes.
correct? I'm not sure how to express my dissatisfaction with this file, but this in a case where I believe the process has been hijacked in a way that the building's already built, and now they're asking for zoning to allow it, and I'm not sure how to show any approval of that method of doing business.
Councillor Dreger?
Could I ask Mr. Brooks from the Planning District to make a comment on here?
The applicant applied for a garage with a storage space above it as per the building permit. That's what we went with. He has done more work in the meantime, and that's why we're asking to get this rezoned now.
I think the intent to put a residence was clear from the outset. I don't think it was ever meant to be a garage with storage. So I think the whole process has been badly used.
Okay. Other questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Dreger or Councillor Espy?
I assume we'll get some more information about what the intent is on this property when the second reading comes along?
And input from the public?
Yes.
Councillor Dreger, did you have anything else to add?
That's just what I was going to say.
Okay, no further questions or comments on this motion. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. And the next item of new business is also city planning and economic development. Councillor Dreger, please.
This issue is to commence the zoning amendment process by rezoning the above listed property from M1 light industrial to R3 residential multifamily to the City of Portage la Prairie zoning bylaw number 10-8492 and by giving bylaw number 18-8681 first reading. The property in question is Lot 43, 55, Plan 23, Lot A, Plan 59981, Parish of Portage la Prairie. And the applicant here is CHB Developments, and they wish to rezone this property. Again, the Portage la Prairie Development Plan states some guidelines that must be adhered to. The application will be circulated to the province for review and comment after first reading. And it is the recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie give bylaw number 18-8681 first reading and provide public notices as defined in Section 168 of the Planning Act. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. The next item of new business is also city planning and economic development. Councillor Dreger, please.
This is another piece of property that we are looking to rezone from residential single family to residential two family. And it's bylaw number 10-8492, and it is to give it first reading. It is similar to the one that we looked at before, and again, the application will be circulated to the province for review and comment after first reading. The applicant here is Eric and Colette Lee, and they wish to rezone this property. First reading of bylaw number 18-8682 will commence the process as defined in the Planning Act in considering this application. It is the recommendation of this committee that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie give bylaw number 18-8682 first reading and provide public notices as defined in Section 168 of the Planning Act. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Dreger and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Buds.
Just since we had the questions on the previous one, is this does Councillor Dreger know if this is an existing structure or is this a structure that's going to be built? Do we know that?
I know the structure has been built. I do not know if it is vacant or not.
Okay. I guess that'll come through again, first reading, and then we'll get public notices out, etc. Okay.
Mr. Brooks, so the structure is there. Do you know if it's occupied?
My understanding, it is occupied, yes. It was initially constructed as a room above a garage for the family, and they have since did some more work to it, and it is now rented out, I believe, yes.
Thank you. Any further questions? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We have no old business, so we will adjourn council at 6:26 p.m. and we're going to move right into committee, and members of the public are welcome to stay for committee, and so are members of the media. We'll call committee to order at 6:26 p.m. First up is Finance Legislative Property Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you. Really nothing to report to council in terms of new information. We will be giving second and third reading to the Utility Infrastructure Reserve, the Library Reserve. The only one item that we can discuss, unless council has any questions on those two previous items, is a request from Manitoba Hydro for an easement agreement. And so there is a sketch that's attached, and this is common that we do this with Manitoba Hydro, but they're looking to install an underground cable on city property west of Oak Bay and north of 6th. And again, it's on the attached drawings. I will be moving to accept this in council. Obviously, this has gone through administration, and they don't have any concerns with it. So again, it's more of a housekeeping thing with Manitoba Hydro, and I'm sure improving the service to our citizens. So unless there's questions with regards to that or any of the other items that I had brought up in council, that would conclude my committee report.
Thank you, Councillor Buds. City Planning and Act Development, Councillor Dreger, please.
Thank you. We have two applications for subdivisions on the agenda this evening that we can discuss, and they will be presented for at the next council meeting for a vote. The first is an application for subdivision, and it has been completed and submitted by the city manager. The applicant and owner proposes to subdivide 4.5 feet of lot 574, Plan 66, and consolidated with the adjacent property owned by Ricky and Rochelle Saltis. The residential lot contains a dwelling that is serviced by municipal sewer and piped water, and it is accessed from 2nd Street Northwest. And the use of the residual lot will not change. So that is an item that we can discuss if council has any questions about it. The second one is similar. It is a proposal to subdivide Lot 1, Block 2, Plan 2079 in river lots 93 and 94 to form 3 lots. And the application for this subdivision has been completed. And the applicants are proposing to remove the dwelling and decommission the field and the septic field and the well that is currently on one of the lots. And the new lots will be serviced with piped water and municipal sewer. And the access there will be from Alexander Avenue. Is there any questions regarding that one? There's a few comments there to read from interested parties. Sustainable Development, Manitoba Hydro, Bell MTS, and Land Titles and the Portage la Prairie Planning District. And then we have the August 2018 building reports from the Planning District. And as has been the case all year long, these reports are good news for the city and the RM, as both the city and the RM represent the council or the board that is the planning that governs the planning district. And usually I just present the combined totals to council, but if there's any discussion anybody wishes to have on the separation of the building reports there, we can discuss those as well.
The question for you, Councillor Dreger. So, just want to clarify that I've got the numbers right. So, for the city only, not the combined. So, 2017 year to date was approximately 1.9. Is that correct?
2017 year to date from the city was 14 million and 9,180. That's the values. There's 129 permits.
Okay.
With those values. And for 2018, it's 123 permits, and the values there is 30,114,288.
So that's more than a double in value in the last year?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. Are there any other questions from council? Okay, thank you, Councillor Dreger.
And that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Fraze, Community Services Committee, please.
Thank you, Worship. One piece of very good news, the city has recently engaged the service of a new employee, and that would be Cornell Pache, who I'd like to introduce as the Indigenous Community Coordinator. And I believe you have some information for us, Mr. Pache.
By the way, welcome to your first council meeting.
Well, it's not the first, Mayor. I was here when I was probably when I was 14, maybe 15, and I looked at the building and I always wondered what happened in the building, and so I made a point of coming over and participating in it, and well, not participating, but watching it, and just to find out what transpires and what goes on, and I was able to be here, and after that, I don't think I wanted to come back.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
No. Good evening, members of council and citizens of Portage. I'm here to introduce myself as your new Indigenous coordinator. I commenced the position September 4th, and it's been 14 days, and I'm still here. Mm-hmm. And my job, I guess, looking at the surrounding First Nations and considering my experience, previously I worked as an education coordinator with the director for Dakota Teepee, and I wanted to spend most of my experience that I engaged to be a part of the youth and the energy in working with them to, I guess, to work with them to help with their self-esteem and to graduate, and to work with the parents and to try and make it a little less easier. And I felt that a lot of my time and energy went into working with them, and it was a really, the experience there was what led me to have some hope in the future for the young ones coming up, and that's what I'm looking forward to, because we education with residential school and reconciliation, it got us here, and hopefully education can get us out. With that in mind, with this position that was posted, I've been involved so much with the federal experience in being chief of the First Nation and just being a leader in that regard. But I've never spent so much, so much time with the municipal side of it, and that's why I'm here to get that experience, but also to enjoy the opportunity to provide more awareness that needs to be engaged. And we are surrounded by First Nations, and with Dakota Teepee, Urban Reserve, Long Plains, and they're coming closer. Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay. And when you take a look at the population in total enrollment, Aboriginal First Nation at PCI, it's at 50% range, and there's other schools that are increasing. So they're here. And with that in mind, I think in 2016, the city had engaged an initiative to tackle that awareness and to provide I guess a mechanism there that would help make your decisions easier. And with that in mind, it is with the hopes from this experience and working with you that somehow, some way, we would be able to engage those communities and come up with a mechanism where we could work with those other First Nations and the surrounding, especially urban, that will be here, and engage a process where we could provide engagement sessions, I guess you can say, and strategize in what we need to do as we go forward, because they are here, and we have to find ways in which to engage those discussions, and that's why I'm here tonight to say thank you, and Piyama for all that you do, and thank you for having that energy and vision to allow me to be here, and I look forward to working with most of you as we forge ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pashy. Did Council have any questions on the presentation? Councillor Dreege?
I think the operative word that you used is engaged, and I think that's going to be the process that it takes to break down any barriers is to engage with each other.
That's correct.
So I'm really pleased to see this position and to see that you have filled it.
Well, there's an opportunity to do more, and once we engage those sessions, we will find out, like, there's other, and we're not the first. When you look at other models that are out there, you take a look at Winnipeg, Thompson, the Paw, other regions, and Saskatchewan, other cities. They've engaged their models. They've started that process. BC, Edmonton, they've come up with ways in which to engage where they've actually had a declaration. They've actually engaged the elders, the youth, the council, and they've forged that method into the good thing about it is we have models out there that we can look to see, but Portage la Prairie, we'll be able to take those experiences and be able to discuss those in a good way, but also Portage, we're so unique, and that will be the good part of it is engaging that strategy and hope for a vision that we can all work with, and it'll be challenging, but it'll also be a good thing. Thank you.
Councillor Wall?
I'd like to just say welcome to Cornell Pache, and I'm really looking forward to engaging with you and to doing the best that we can. I know you have a heart and vision for your people, and I'd like to be a part of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Councillor Budge, you had a question.
Yes, welcome as well from my chair. I was just wondering, we do hear reports from other committees, and we welcome here tonight is the first presentation to council, but what can we expect in terms of initiatives that are underway, fronted by yourself, and what type of reporting mechanism can we expect here at council for the progress or where we're at with the progress on initiatives?
Well, we have, as I said, it's been 14 days, and the key goals, I guess, was with the urban population. We wanted to help look at establishing a formal framework for the Indigenous Coalition, and also to provide that administration and policy support. But it was also engaging, identifying the partners in those that are surrounding in the area, and also the urban and Métis Friendship Center. And it is our hopes that to engage sessions with having two conferences in the hopes of identifying how we can collaborate and communicate and serve the population, and also to have 3 to 6 smaller community outreach and brainstorming sessions with the Métis, the Friendship Center, Tribal Council, Friendship Center, and local First Nations, and also including the youth and the elders with the hopes of grasping their visions as a part of it, and to meet. Not discussed yet, but to meet on a monthly basis so that we could look towards having that information, so that we'll be able to move it forward in a good way and be able to provide that mechanism to council in the creation of an Indigenous council, if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Really good answer after 14 days on the job. So, yeah, Council, look forward to hearing on how you're doing with those. Thank you.
Mr. Pedro, did you want to add?
Well, of course, welcome to Cornell Pache as well. I get to work very closely with Cornell in my position, and I worked with, before Cornell received it, I was part of the application process. Cornell's position is funded under the Urban Indigenous Strategy, and a big role, as Cornell had mentioned, is the goal is to establish that Indigenous coalition or a council of committee to provide that feedback from our Indigenous community to council. And a big part of Cornell's job, and we're really excited to see, is to engage the community and get an idea how that model might work in Portage. We have other models across the country, and I think that's important to see and model off of. But that engagement to see how we want that model to work in Portage is really important. So Cornell has been doing an excellent job and really jumped in with both feet, and it's been a pleasure to work with them so far.
Any further questions or comments from Council? Councillor Fraze?
I just want to repeat the welcome to Cornell Pache, and I want to say that from my chair in community services, which I may not occupy much longer, an election coming up very soon, but certainly I've always emphasized the fact from this chair that a city is more than just the roads and the streets and the bricks and mortar, that it's the people. And I see this, and especially with our current mayor, who spent the last election campaign really promoting the idea that we need better connections with our neighbors, and that's neighbors both in their surrounding area and, as you mentioned, the urban reserve component, and that's likely to grow, if anything. And so I would welcome you as part of that community, which I so often talk about as the people that make this city what it is. So look forward to working with you.
And now you.
Okay, any further questions or comments for our presenter? Okay. I just want to say thank you very much for coming out this evening and sharing this with us, Cornell, and we really look forward to working with you in the coming months.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Councillor Fraze, any other issues on Community Services Committee?
No, that's all we have on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Wall, please.
The Waterworks Committee has nothing to report this evening.
Councillor Draycott, Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a very light agenda for the Transportation Committee this evening. Nothing for us.
Okay. Councillor Espy, Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Public Safety Committee has nothing to report.
Well, before we adjourn, it's only 6:45. We have question periods, so for folks in the gallery that haven't been here before, this is a chance for you to come up to the mic and ask questions of council, and we will endeavor to answer those. So we're open to as many questions as you have for the next, I think question period lasts for 15 minutes. 15 maximum. So anybody that would like to ask council a question, we'd welcome you. Well, going once, one more time, any questions from the visitors gallery? Well, hearing none, we will adjourn committee at 6:45 p.m. Thank you for coming out, everybody. Okay, 6:45. Well, thanks for your excuse.